You know, Billy Bean told who was the first baseman they picked up for the Oakland A's that couldn't throw? He said, it's like you're the greeter at the door at Gap. You know, he was telling him the guy had never played first base. He was a catcher. He blew out his arm. And everybody couldn't believe that they signed him. And they signed him because Bean and what's his name were obsessed with on-base percentage. The guy could get on base, okay? And I'll never forget the conversation that Bean was having with Scott. It's not Lauderhouse, but it's Landahan or something like that. And he was like, it's like being at the Gap. You're the greeter at the door at first base, right? People get walked or have a single, and you kind of, you have a conversation with them. That's what I feel like this morning. I mean, we got people. I like it when we have people coming in studio. And, we have RG, we have Mick Gillespie, we have Joseph Stodgel, Brian Campbell. And Jackson and I have talked about this, and I've dropped the ball on it. We haven't had as many people in studio as we need. And Blake and I used to talk about it all the time. Blake was like, we cannot have enough people in studio. It doesn't, any walk of life, if they're interesting, they can tell a story and have a conversation, get them in. So anyway, do you have that name, Nick?
Yes, Scott Hatteberg.
Hatteberg.
Yeah. Well, I went to college with Jeremy Brown at Alabama. He was on there,
He
too.
was in Moneyball.
Yeah, he was in Moneyball. Yeah, I played
Catcher
baseball
from
with
Bama.
him. Yeah, a little bit of baseball with him. Brownie, great player. And I always thought, when I started out doing play-by-play, he was on the Alabama team. And I couldn't stand him walking so much because I thought, this guy's too important to driving in runs.
Right.
But, I mean, look, it got him to the big leagues.
It got him to the big
Good
league.
for him. Great guy, though. Yeah, I haven't seen him forever. But
He didn't have a big league body.
no, and I didn't
He looked like
the way,
an offensive guard at junior college that liked to eat a lot of blue plates.
I didn't like the way he was portrayed in the movie. He was he dove to first and he's like swimming, because I didn't really see him as that type of player. I thought he was a really good catcher and one of the best catchers in college baseball at the time, and that was when Alabama was actually good before Mississippi took over.
Yeah, Jim Wells had y'all rolling.
He did, Jim Wells. Yeah,
y'all went to the CWS several times. In fact, I thought your '97 team could have won it.
Should have won it.
Yeah, I mean that team was loaded, but Wells had you rolling. For a while.
That was back in my day. Jared Kingery, the closer, was in my wedding.
Really?
Yeah, and Roberto Vaz, with the reason that
I remember him.
Yeah, he actually works with us at the Cubs. He was
incredible.
He stepped on a baseball in the regional.
Oh no.
He was he was like the best hitter, but he was also one of the starters. So when we got into the World Series, you needed that extra arm, and we didn't have it.
He turned his ankle?
He messed his ankle up in the batting cage. So, I mean,
Can you imagine?
Yeah, think about that.
Wells' '97 team, Mississippi State went to the CWS in '97 too, and I didn't miss a home game.
Oh yeah,
that year because a friend of mine had a rig out in the left field lounge, and so we just drank beer and cooked like we were just talking to Brian Campbell and Joseph Stodgel. He had a grill, and I mean we were cooking ribs and pork tenderloins, and that '97 team went to the CWS, but Bama was filthy that year.
And I when I was doing play-by-play for Alabama.
By the way, Mick Gillespie on the Out of Bounds show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone, does several shows tied in with the University of Alabama Crimson Tide and some Chicago Cubs. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was on the play-by-play for the baseball team at Alabama for a while. When I'd come to Starkville for those games, I loved it, man.
Yeah.
Like I would just say, how come Alabama can't find this?
Right.
And there's just something about going there, the enthusiasm, what the fans bring to the table.
It's a party.
And I've done baseball at every level, and it's still, there's something special about, I'm not just saying it because you're a State fan. I mean, I'm saying it because it's true. There's just something magical about going out there, the way that the people support the team, and the way that, all the way around outside of the stadium. I thought that was cool. I always liked going to Arkansas. I thought that was fun too.
Bomb.
And, obviously the old box.
Yeah.
Not as much the new box to me down.
I
LSU,
agree
but
with
the old
you.
box was something.
Old Alex box was the deal.
Like it just had the ambiance.
Yes.
And you guys have the ambiance at Mississippi State, like for baseball. And, and now college baseball in some ways is more exciting than Major League Baseball. Now, figure that.
Yeah.
And the level of play now has gotten so good that these guys are the best players are coming out and they're going straight into the high A, double A, and then some of these guys are in the big leagues pretty immediate.
Yeah. Brent Rooker told me where you're sitting. He was like, man, when you face what you do on Friday night in the SEC, it can expedite where you're going in minor league baseball.
Yeah, that is so true. So I mean, and we're actually, what's crazy too is that down south here, it snowed in Fairhope last week. By the way, we got like a foot of snow. Just to tell everybody that. That's where I live. But and then it's 75 today, right? Baseball, the college baseball is coming. Like it's actually here.
I know, next weekend.
It's nuts, man.
This weekend is fan day. There will be several thousand people, Mick Gillespie, at Duty Noble this weekend.
Good.
I will be there.
I shouldn't ask you, it's your show, but how are they going to be? How's State going to be this year?
They're going to be good.
Okay.
Now that's, they're going to be a good team. Okay. You know how it is in the postseason. Everything gets weird. And, it's not like football and whatever, but yeah, they're going to be a good team.
Yeah. I mean, like
what do you think about the Crimson Tide?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah.
I think the conference is so good now, and they don't have, to me, they like Rob Vaughn is coming in. He's taking over for a guy that got fired for allegedly gambling on the team against the team, which is just awful. Yeah. The stadium's nice, but there's not a lot of fan support. I can remember doing games there like on a Tuesday night, and there'd be like 300 people at a brand new stadium, and me being like, this, But then you look around, Tennessee right now is a program, not just because they won the national championship, but Tony Vitello is, legitimate recruiter, scout,
machine.
A machine, right? That Arkansas is going to be good.
Yeah.
The Mississippi schools.
Yep.
Bianco
needs a bounce back year. O'Sullivan down at Florida always gets rolling.
Yeah.
Hell, Wes Johnson went to Georgia and is getting things going. And then you saw preseason, Mick, Schlossnagle and A&M are number one.
Yeah. Yeah. How about the whole Texas A&M coach?
Oh, dude. Schlossnagle, Texas.
I know what you meant.
A&M.
Yeah.
But
I know exactly what you meant.
Will be
it's
good
crazy to think of that, right?
Yeah.
Your coach goes to your arch rival right after taking you to the World Series.
Yeah. Chuck Box is their chief of staff. He coached here at Jackson Prep, and I was talking to him about that a few months ago. We're visiting with Mick Gillespie on the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. We have plenty of SEC football fans, sports, but also Bama fans. Tell our listeners where they can find your shows.
Yeah, hang out. Jake Coker and I do Elephant in the Room on Cover Crimson YouTube, and then I'm on my channel's the Bama Tailgate channel on YouTube. Actually, we were at Pearl River yesterday, Jake and I, and we've got content coming out. Talking Super Bowl because Bama's got 7 guys in the Super Bowl. But,
6.
Yeah. Okay. Well, 5, 6 and a half. 6 and a half. How about 6.5?
Give it the half.
I love mess. Bama fans will get on my text line, and really get upset. And I'm like, dude, he went to Oklahoma.
Yeah, he did finish there. He did a year there.
Yeah.
We developed him though. He got Saban, and then
kicked him out.
Yeah, we did. Well, he didn't get.
You
kicked
didn't,
out.
but the football team.
They
did.
just winners, man. Winners only.
But you know what? Tua got hurt so much that next year.
I was there in Starkville.
Yeah.
Oh,
What a
When he got drilled, I was on the sideline.
Yeah.
Leo Lewis, linebacker out of Brookhaven, hit him. I wasn't sure what happened to him, Mick.
Yeah.
He comes up, and he's got blood pouring. So I didn't realize the hip was gone.
Yeah.
And I want to say either broke his nose on the hit too, or, he got up, and I was like, that guy needs to go to the hospital right now.
Yeah, right.
It was a brutal hit that he took that last year. And I think it was his last year.
It was.
Okay.
Yeah.
In Starkville.
Yeah, and that team, that was a national championship type team too. And they lost to LSU in that game where he was hurt and threw the interception, but came back at the end. And I always thought if Alabama had played them again with a healthy Tua, they could have won. But, look, Joe Burrow is a great quarterback. It's one of the best teams. And who knows? Now I don't even know what's – the college football is so different now than it was back then.
Well, for Bama fans, it's going to be a hard reset because of not having the depth.
Yeah.
Georgia, Bama, and LSU. I don't know if they'll ever have the depth that they had prior to NIL and the portal kicking in.
Well, what happens is, and then you watch South Carolina's gotten really good at this, is that they're going to look at your roster and they're going to figure out who is it that is a big recruit that they didn't get the first time around, that's going to have to wait another year behind somebody else to play, but that you're going to take a risk on them coming in and playing right now, then going out and paying them to come and play at your school. I think eventually when they make rules up on transferring, that'll stop. But right now, that's a legitimate. And if I was Mississippi State, I would just watch exactly what South Carolina's doing, and I'd copy that.
They've done a good job.
Yeah, but that's what they're great at. And then you look at it, like they came on our roster to get a couple guys, and then those guys will next year, you'll be like, where'd they get this guy? Oh, he was he was a 4-star that we paid not to go back and be a backup for his sophomore season, and then he's there. But South Carolina proves that if you play the system the right way, that you don't have to be Alabama, LSU, to win, Georgia to win. Now, I don't know if they can win a championship,
South
but they
Carolina
were right there.
And Ole Miss have found their model. Everybody can, there's several different models that can work.
Yeah.
They found some models in Missouri, although I thought they were a little more smoke and mirrors.
Me too. But they were better.
Won.
They were better than I was with you. I thought these guys are BS,
Right.
But you know what?
Yeah. No, I never thought. So I was totally wrong. I didn't think Drinkowitz would make it, or Beamer.
Yeah.
I know Kiffin's legit, and we had an Alabama fan on the text line say, in 2 years we're hiring Lane Kiffin to replace Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah. Do you want me to talk about this because it's not happening, or he's never getting the job.
No, I want
and it
you to
has
go
not. But the reason why he's never getting the job isn't because he's a bad coach.
No, he's a hell of a coach.
It's that he took gasoline and he burned every bridge that is possibly there. Every bridge, like lit him on fire. He left too many, the Joey Freshwater type stuff. Like Bama would have to be the Shula, DeBose, Mike Price Bama, where everybody just threw their hands in the air and were positive that he was going to come in and win championships to bring him in. But I just don't.
So he burned bridges in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, with the people that make the decision, the guys that write the checks and the guys that make the hires.
Right.
So I want to say last time they had their list of, I see his bobblehead over there, by the way. I see like the list
Lane Kiffin bobblehead.
Yeah, it's a mini bobblehead.
Yeah.
And that size right there compared to a normal bobblehead is the chance that he had to get the Alabama job. I want to say he was probably 20th, 25th down on the list.
20th or 25th down.
No way.
He wanted it.
Well,
Of course.
and honestly, if he had been as sober as he is now,
Right.
he probably would have got it.
Yeah.
Because
he's got his stuff together.
He didn't have it together in Tuscaloosa. And I don't think I'm saying anything that he wouldn't say himself, But at the same time, I'm not pulling against him.
No.
But there's just there's people there that are probably not as forgiving as a lot of the fans are, But he's done a good job, and it feels
unbelievable.
It feels
at Ole
like
Miss.
every job that is available to leave Ole Miss, he's always the first guy that's like, hey, I'll take it.
Oh, look, he was trying to.
But he's in the perfect spot. He's saying, just stay there.
He is. Lane Train, he was trying to get in the mix for the Raiders job here a month, the last few weeks.
Didn't he have that one before?
Yeah.
Didn't the owner of the Raiders have a press conference and basically I don't want to use the word that starts with an S, but talk about him for a while.
Yeah.
About how terrible he was. I mean, do you guys remember that? Or was that my imagination?
He was too young to take that. He learned, after getting fired from the Raiders and Southern Cal. Now he's a top 10 coach.
Yeah, he is.
How old was Lane when he took that job?
I don't know, 33?
32?
Yeah.
34? But he had not been with Pete Carroll long.
Oh, yeah.
But Al Davis was
he was crazy
as a road lizard.
But he was right at the time.
Yeah, I mean, but he's the one that made the hire.
Very few times.
It's all now. What was Lane going to say? No.
No. Then,
Right.
then he went to Tennessee, and I was up working in Knoxville at the time.
Were you really?
Yeah. So I had a taste of him there, and then obviously covering Alabama. So it's honestly like they need to do a Chappelle show style show about Lane Kiffin's days at the Raiders, at Tennessee, at USC, and then at Alabama as an assistant coach. And, with the right actor playing him, I mean, it could be a huge hit.
Well, have you ever seen the Tosh.0 stuff?
Yeah, well, right, but better than that.
But better,
because
yes.
the truth is better than that.
No doubt.
Roll Tide Insider, Mick Gillespie on the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN, brought to you by Pearl River Resort
31.
and Elijah Craig Bourbon.
Oh, give me some of that.
It's fabulous. I'll send you home with some.
He was 31.
He was only
Not that job.
31 when he was hired by the Raiders.
Now, look, I understand the GM, and the same GM that also, or owner GM that drafted a punter in the first round, too, now.
Yes.
Same one. Now, Ray Guy's very good, but same guy.
He was so close this year, too. If they don't lose that Florida game, the way that the college football playoff was so awful, they could have made a run. His team could have made a run in that terrible tournament.
There wasn't a really good team.
No.
I can't believe they lost to 1-7 Kentucky at home.
Lucky play, though, And I thought he handled that well, though. I liked his post-game press conference.
Which, Lane?
Yeah, he's like, look, I tell these guys da-da-da, and then they throw up I can't remember how he said it, but basically the guy just threw up a pass and got lucky.
Yep,
I mean, it was luck.
But it shouldn't have been that close.
They should have kicked their butt, and then they wouldn't have had those problems.
They've had too many times where it's been the unlucky part of it. Go all the way back to Arkansas, the unlucky bounce.
Yeah.
It's always something unlucky.
All right, back to we've got a few minutes here. I want to talk baseball again.
Let's bring it on.
Let's circle back here. So Mick Gillespie's been with Alabama baseball and Chicago Cubs baseball. I did not realize that he had called Bama baseball because, I was following Alabama for years. And when Jim Wells got them rolling, I was like, what happened? They're supposed to be a football school. This is not awesome. Because, he kicked Mississippi State's tail a few times.
Love
Too many
Jim,
times.
by the way. Great
Is he a
guy.
good dude?
Great guy. Love him. And instrumental in my baseball career because when I was a student at Alabama, he would let me come and sit in the dugout and talk baseball with me.
That's awesome.
Which really is amazing when you think about it now.
Yeah.
But I would sit in there and he'd be talking to me. Mick, blah blah blah. Or Dizzy, call me Dizzy. Dizzy, hold on a second, and then you run out and hey, and then get on somebody, and then he'd come back in and sit back down with me again. He taught me about baseball. Really not just he knew pro baseball and he knew college baseball. He was
hell of a coach.
Yeah, and he won. And I remember him telling me, he was like, "Look,
big.
I got to win."
Jackson, look
40
up his
games
record.
Here,
in CWS's, please, at Alabama. He caught the tail end, the last few years of Polk and the first few years of McMahon at Mississippi State. I don't remember when he stepped down, but hell of a job. All right, so Mick Gillespie on the Out of Bounds Show, and thanks to Shelby Johnson for texting me earlier. I was trying to remember the first baseman for the Oakland A's, and Mick looked it up too, and I was referencing Brad Pitt and Billy Bean and the movie and the book, which were both great. Scott Hatteberg was the first baseman that was the guy that they went and signed that couldn't throw. And Billy Bean was like, I don't care. I need you to get on base. It was one of the best parts of the book and the movie. And then who knew that Mick Gillespie here was going to go, yeah, I was with Alabama baseball, and I know who Jeremy Brown was. Jeremy Brown is in the book, a catcher who they describe as basically fat.
Really?
Well, I mean, overweight.
Yeah.
Who doesn't look like a baseball player, but again is an on base percentage machine that Bean and what's his name identified.
Yeah. My favorite Jeremy Brown story was not that
Catcher for Bama.
Yeah, like he played on our summer league team. He would just kind of pop in. I'm sure it was like a blimp on his radar, but for us it was cool. But I bartended in Tuscaloosa, and I remember him coming in, and I'm like, just like, hey, anything you need.
I got you.
Yeah. Like, that was probably like before he was, the money ball. I think he was probably with the A's at the time, but I don't remember all this stuff,
Right.
Right. I loved him though. I loved him as a college player. He was a tough-nosed guy. And you're right. Like he was the end of the Bama, we're going to the World Series.
Right.
It went from Jim Wells would go out and find dirtbag type players, like I don't care what my uniform looks like. We don't have 5 different hats that we wear. We wear a crimson hat with a white A. Most of them are dirty. And that's what we show out and play in, to being the country club that it is now. It's
Right.
like the sport has changed in that aspect to me, particularly in college. So we went from being kind of a tough, hard-nosed team to posing on Instagram in front of the stadium with very white, pristine uniforms. And I hope we get past that.
Right. Very cool. All right, Cubs. I know I asked you this last time. Your favorite, mine's Lee Smith.
Yeah.
My favorite, and I've got several, but Chicago Cub player of all time. Who's yours?
Well, I worked with Rhino for a year, and so it's
Sandberg.
Rhino,
Awesome.
But the thing about it was, I remember wanting to wear 23 and be in the backyard. We all watched WGN, right?
Yeah.
Harry and Steve. I mean, especially like where we didn't have a major league team,
Right.
Down here. So we were national, and then it was fun to watch. But when I worked with Rhino, he had this really weird sense of humor, and he liked to pull practical jokes, right? So he would figure out what it was that would bother you, and he would do it constantly. And my part of my job was overseeing the buses, and then he would always have a problem with the bus. So my thing to him would be, I'd go in his office and I'd talk about like Cubs teams or whatever, and he had this picture of him facing Nolan Ryan, and Nolan Ryan wrote like something like, "Hey, it was great that you were always tough" or something. And I'd go, I'd talk it up like those 80 Cubs teams, 84, 85, and then I'd go to 87. That was my favorite team, and I'd be like, Rhino, my favorite player, and he'd think it was going to be him. And then I'd be like, Andre Dawson, and I'd walk out of the room.
Andre Dawson, the Hawk. Mick Gillespie, Roll Tide Insider, Cubs Insider, Crimson Tailgate on YouTube.
Yeah, Bama Tailgate.
Bama Tailgate.
Yeah, come on and hang with us.
YouTube. Bama Tailgate on YouTube. We'll see you tomorrow from the Golden Moon.